The figs are coming along. I spotted one tiny little fig on here a few days ago, but I'm not sure where. Oh, there it is. Got one little baby fig. Very typical. This one's doing well and actually putting a little bit of growth out. And here's my little watermelons. They are trying. This one looks a little bit better. This one here is, this is my, I call it my iris bed because it's mostly irises in here. The gladiolas are blooming, and of course, once they bloom, they get so heavy they just fall over. So I dug them up because I was reading that they have to be planted about 2 to 3 inches deep, the bulbs, and they would stand up then, but they don't. I dug them up a couple of years ago and put them back in here, and they still just fall over. So they make for a really nice arrangement. These are some that have started blooming and fell over. I got the rainbow package from Walmart. And so they're so pretty. And I think these pink ones right here are my favorite. Aren't they just so pretty? This is my new bed I made. I planted some of my seeds from Baker Creek where they replaced the ones that didn't grow. And I can see some signs that some of them are coming up. But these here are, if you can see the plants, they are bush beans or bush peas. And I probably planted them a little bit too late. But they're growing. But you can start seeing some of the Baker Creek stuff coming up. And this is mostly medicinal plants, so hopefully they'll come up. And then this is my beautiful mimosa, and the St. John's wort, yarrow. That is the comfrey that my friend gave me, and it is really taken off. Excited about that. And then these are just some plants that I got for Mother's Day, and they've kind of, their bulbs, so they die out. And they're just done for the year. But everything's coming in here pretty good. This here is hyssop. Very minty. We'll make tea and stuff with that. So this is going to be my tea garden. And some of the Baker Creek seeds are in here too. And I'll start over here on this side. This is my little tangerine tree that I had in the very backyard. It got hit really bad by the frost in March. It survived all winter, but in March, that last little freeze, it got down to like 18 degrees, and it didn't do good. So it's coming back to life. I dug it up and put it in this humongous pot, and hopefully I'll just be able to keep it trimmed down and it can stay in this and just move it in and out of the greenhouse in the fall or something. And anyway, these are pomegranates. I saved some of the seeds out of a pomegranate and planted them, and what do you know, they came up. We'll see how long it takes for it to try to grow pomegranates. I might be 80. The grapes are doing good. They're coming along. I mean, this is loaded with grapes. I'm sure there's lots of other places that have many more grapes, but these are their 4th year in the ground from seedlings, so I wouldn't say it's too bad. So we got quite a few grapes here on this one. My husband's vision when he made this was to have it where the vines would go all the way over, and we'd have like this canopy of grapevines, and then the grapes would fall through, and you could, you know, the grandkids or whatever could come over and just, you know, and my daughter could just come through here and just pick grapes and eat them. But so far, And maybe it's just that they're young, but the grapes, the highest grape cluster is here, is like right here. So they're, I guess maybe the plants just aren't mature to start growing grapes all the way across. But every year we do get that canopy. But anyway, these are what's growing. This is as far up as the clusters got on this plant, but it's a young plant. Maggie, are you mowing? Maggie, she's taking a bath. She don't care about what I say. And these are just pitiful. They still grow, but they're not really putting on much. And these are a favorite snack of the Japanese beetles that have come in. But we're working on getting rid of those. That's some onions and lavender and some beets. And then I have a couple of, just a couple of loofah gourd plants planted in there, so maybe they can grow up there and make something. So the second thing was, another thing I did was this week was I put this very ugly fencing up over this greenhouse frame to try to support the weight of the gourds that may or may not grow here. I had a couple of mishaps putting this up, and this is very temporary. We're going to be taking this down and actually using cattle panels, but the gourds were growing faster than we could get those, so I just improvised and used what I had on hand. And it's not pretty, but it was free, and it's doing its thing that it's supposed to do. But I did, when I was hanging this up here, some of the wire got away from me, and got a few cuts and bruises, and this plant right here actually got cut in half. But we do have a couple of little gourds coming on. And of course the plant that got cut in half had like 3 gourds on it. This is an update on the tomatoes. They are doing pretty good. Getting big. I got quite a few tomatoes coming on, but they're still tiny. This plant was the star of the show, this tomato, and of course I hacked it right at the bottom with that wire. And I just took the stalk and stuck it all the way down to the bottom of the pot, and I'm just watering it, trying to see if it will reroot and maybe come out of it. But if not, it is what it is. But this is the top of this plant. So for reference, there's the top of the thing. It's getting there. This one's a little bit higher. There's where it's tied off. And it's doing good. I think I'm going to quit pulling those suckers off and see what we can get out of those suckers. But these are all these on this platform here. These are all the beefsteak tomatoes. And see, I got a few of them here coming on. And this plant's got some. I'm guessing I need to shoot a little nitrogen in here or something, because they're kind of turning a little bit yellow, but it is so hot here in the afternoon. But these plants that are on the ground in these buckets, these are the Roma tomatoes, and they're starting to flower. Oh, and the okra is doing great. I think almost all the okra has either little tiny okras on them, or the blossoms. And then these are loofah gourds here. They're finally coming along, and this one's actually, it's getting up there. And these are the butternut squash. And for some reason it's full of blooms, but they're all male blooms, so I only have one butternut squash so far. These are the cherry tomatoes. I finally was able to get them tied up. They actually got big enough to tie up. These are the Tabasco peppers that the deer dined on, which I want to touch on that. The deer came through my neighbor's yard over here, and it came right through. They jumped this rope, which they didn't do all year last year, but they jumped the rope and came in here and just went down the line, and all they ate was off of some of my pepper plants out of here. So my husband decided to take some fishing line and put right here, and it's actually tied into the tree, so when the deer come along in the night, their chest hits that fishing line, and I don't know if you can see, he did 2 rows, but when the fishing line touches them, they don't know what hit them, or so they get a little freaked out and they run off. But if they hit it hard enough, he's got it tied to a branch, and so not only will they be touched by something that they don't know what touched them, the trees also move, so that really gets. And since he's put up this fishing line, no deer have come into the yard, and I haven't walked into it myself yet. But anyway, so he's got this set up all the way around the perimeter of my garden. Just a legal notice, though. If you decide to do something like this, and someone, decides they're going to trespass on your property, and they walk through it, or ride a motorcycle through it, or a dirt bike, or 4-wheeler, or whatever, and they get injured by your wire, by your line, you can get in trouble. Big trouble, actually. Someone did that here, and a person was actually decapitated by that wire. A young man was trespassing and rode his motorcycle right through it, and it actually decapitated him, and the gentleman that had the wire up got a lot of time in prison for it. So anyway, the lemon is doing well. The serrano peppers are doing great, and the flowers for my pollinators is doing great. The lavender, finally getting a few beans on the beans. But this is also something the deer ate. This was a beautiful rose bush, and that's all that's left between the deer and the beetles. I don't know. And they came through and ate the tops out of the jalapeno peppers in this pot, and they ate the tops out of this one. They didn't make it all the way around, so these jalapenos are doing really good. The sweet potatoes, they ate quite a bit of the sweet potatoes. You can see they ate the end off, and then they ate all the leaves. But luckily that's all they ate, and so the leaves are just growing back now. So we'll see what we get. Anyway, this is a pineapple from when I bought at the store that we ate, and I had it in this pot, or in a pot last year through the winter, and I just kept it in my shed, and it's actually starting to grow new shoots there, and then there's also one, so I got two of them growing out of the same plant. This is the butterfly mixed garden I put to try to attract some pollinators, and they're putting on some pretty flowers, little bachelor buttons. This is also my other white rose bush that is completely leafless. That is thanks to the Japanese beetles. The deer didn't seem to actually touch this. They didn't eat any of it, so that was all Japanese beetles. It's the red buckeye. It's getting big. And the smaller red buckeye, and some mums I planted here a couple of years ago. Potatoes are looking like they're getting about ready to harvest, so we'll see when these plants all die out. We'll see what happens. I have yet to grow successfully anything more than just starts for the next year. There's a little rose bush. Parsley's doing great. And these are peach trees. I believe they're peaches. My other potato bin. And my little roses. The deer didn't bother these. And I moved the bell pepper plants over here because the pots were killing the grass and attracting major bugs underneath the pots, like termites or something. So I moved them over here. And this is a little catalpa tree. It's supposed to attract the catalpa worm, which is great for catfishing bait. And there's a couple of more catalpa trees back here. And my broccoli, I didn't get very much broccoli, so I'm just going to let it go to seed and save some seeds. The little cabbages are doing great. It's a daily chore. See? Getting these nasties out. Every day it's coming out here and pulling off the bugs. The elephant garlic is coming along. And I think these, I don't remember what I always think I'm going to remember what I put in these pots, and I don't remember. But I think these are either plums or cherries. And my Google searches aren't coming up very good because the stems are really red. And the leaves just aren't big enough to tell what they are. But there's a third one right there coming up. And then the strawberries are growing nicely. There's a few down in the bottom. The dill is going to seed. And we got the oregano, sage, and all my green onions. And y'all, check out that celery. It is so happy. Look how huge that is in there. And I've never had any kind of a bug or pest on the celery. So I guess bugs don't like that. Got another little cabbage here. It's broccoli. I just don't think they have enough nutrition in these pots. And there's some cabbage. And then those in there, I think, are little apple trees and some weeds. And these are the Brussels sprouts. I'm really just curious how long it's going to take for it to make Brussels sprouts, because I don't see any sign of any Brussels sprouts coming on anywhere. So this is pretty much an experimental. And you know what? Worst thing that can happen is they're just going to go to the chickens for food. So this is a packet of seeds I got from Baker Creek. It was a freebie, some kind of lettuce. It's coming up, and it's supposed to be heat tolerant, so you're supposed to be able to have it during the summer. And I don't know if you can see, I planted some bee balm in here, and some of it's coming up. And then just the hostas here, and the butterfly mix. And this wisteria was huge, and if you didn't see it, this thing last year got just destroyed by those Japanese beetles. They came in and ate every leaf, and I sprayed and sprayed and sprayed and sprayed and sprayed, and it would kill what was on there, but the next day it'd be loaded with them again. So, but they actually destroyed this tree to where you can see the other two parts of the tree are gone. It's weird. And anyway, here's the duckies. They're doing well. Elephant ears are growing real nice over here. And then back here I planted a bunch of, it might be a little bit too late, but I planted some gourds. These are just your bottle gourds. I had extra seeds. And then these are my extra loofah gourds. here. And if they grow, we'll just let them climb up on this fence here. This is a wild blackberry bush. It didn't really put on a lot of blackberries, so usually just for fun, I'll just feed these to the ducks when they come visit. But anyway, that's pretty much the grand tour of the garden over here. So this is my garden area, y'all. Thanks for stopping by. Y'all have a great day.